In today's show, Deni Avdija is an all-star with a back injury, and the Trailblazers have lost 5 straight games. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter Mike Richmond. You listen to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's program, Deni Avdija is an all-star, the Blazers' first non-Damian Lillard all-star in a decade. Congrats to Deni, a well-deserved honor, but he's also an all-star with a back injury. We'll talk about all about that in today's program. Plus, Blazers lose their 5th in a row. They've been scuffling lately. Got some injury updates for you. Blake Wesley returned for his first game since October 31st. Plus, Scoot Henderson appears to be very, very close. Some thoughts on, or some info on Drew Holiday. And an appreciation for Duop Reith that's shared by everyone across the roster. Plus, we'll do our fastest recap in the West for 2 bad basketball games. Blazers lose to the Knicks, and then on Sunday they came back to Portland and lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll get into all of those games. Let's start with Deni, though. Congrats to Deni Avdija for making his first all-star team. Becomes the 17th player in Trailblazers history to make the midseason showcase. It's an honor. I think the All-Star game itself sucks, and they probably can't salvage it because this sort of era of NBA players kind of they made it bad. I think it's actually across all of sports. Most of the All-Star game stuff has kind of atrophied a little bit. It's maybe run its course, but making the team is a massive honor. Regardless, it is a real sign that you are in an elite fraternity of players, or you are named LeBron James and you are the best player of a generation, and then they just put you on the team because everyone likes you or respects you or something. But Deni, it was never a surprise. I said in the show I recorded this afternoon, as I recorded probably about 3 minutes before the announcement became official, but dude's averaging 25.5 points, 7.2 boards, 6.7 assists, shooting 46.7% from the floor, 35.6% from 3, 80% from the free throw line. He's taken a massive jump in usage, a massive jump in his assist percentage, the advanced numbers, because he's been forced into playing this sort of on-ball lead initiator role that he did a little bit of last season, but really, really ramped it up this season due to necessity, and he has been incredible. Despite the massive jump in usage, his counting stats in terms of shooting, field goal percentage, and three-point percentage are a little bit down, but because he has become, not only has he had this massive jump in usage, but he's become an elite free throw merchant. He's about as good a foul drawer as there is in the entire league. He gets downhill and he really understands the rules of contact, and he kind of lives in the gray area and does a really good job of getting to the free throw line with this massive jump in usage. He has the ball so much more. He's doing so much more this season than he's ever done in his career in terms of on-ball responsibility on offense. And he has the best true shooting percentage of his career. So this, the biggest volume in terms of what he has had to undertake, and while maybe his raw shooting percentages are down a little bit, he just is getting to the free throw line. He's a freaking 25-7-7 guy. He's been incredible, and yet it's all a little bit bittersweet, the timing of it, because while Deni has been for his career and certainly his Blazers tenure in a season and a half, season and 2/3, he's been really durable. That's been a mark of him since his rookie season. He's been really, really durable. But now he's missed 6 of the Blazers' last 10 games and left one of those that he played, one of the 4 that he played, and he left it early at 2 minutes into the second half. He hasn't played a lot recently because he is dealing with this persistent back issue that he just can't quite shake it. And he did not play. He looked like, just like as the term he used was half Deni against the Knicks. He just like did not look like himself. And the Blazers lost to the Knicks on Friday, and then he comes back on Sunday, and he did not play in that game either. Prior to the game, Tiago Splitter said that Deni was warming up and was like probably going to give it a go. Like he was under the impression that Deni was probably going to give it a go. He probably will play, and he said, it's kind of just the way it works in basketball. Like guys are just going to play through pain. They're going to manage pain. They're going to be smart about it, but like it's probably not something that Deni is going to shake. Whether I don't know if it's going to be a week or a day or a month or whatever, but he's probably just like everyone who plays in the league, who deals with, who's going to play 35 minutes and play the sort of have the responsibility that he has. You're just going to play not at 100%. He said 99% of the league is playing below 100%, to give you a double percentage sentence there. But then surprising, at least to what the way Tiago Splitter explained it at tip-off, Deni doesn't play. And then afterwards, after the game, Deni is really coy and cautious about sharing personal like sort of his physical health, like where he's at physically. I don't really understand why, quite frankly. He's allowed to say whatever he wants. It's his body. There's actually no rules about him sharing exactly how he feels and where he thinks he's at and what he's capable of doing. But he's very, very cautious with it, to the point that even there was a video clip that surfaced from his post-game interview after that game against the Knicks, where he just wasn't right, that he was so cautious and strange about it. People, I think, are reading much more into it than I am, thinking that this is some big personal, emotional issue that Deni is dealing with. And I think he was just being coy about not wanting to share where he's at physically. I mean, that's my read in that video. You can interpret it any way you want. Just promise me that you won't tell me how you're interpreting it, because I don't care. But after the game, Deni was like, I don't know if I'm going to be, I want to be back soon. I don't think this is a long-term thing, but I can't tell you, I can't put a timeline on it. And I'm not going to talk about kind of where I'm at with my injury, which whatever. That's a personal choice. That is, it's fine. There are plenty of examples of folks talking about their injuries across the league at all times very openly. It's your body. You get to describe it to a group of reporters however you so fit, however you so choose. But the real truth is that when Deni doesn't play, the Blazers are bad. And I think we've seen that over the last few games. When Deni is available, they're a capable team and they can hang with pretty much anybody. And when he's not available, they're just not good enough right now. They're not talented enough. And like sometimes when they play some like pretty darn good teams, like the Knicks with half Deni, or the Cavs, who after a very slow start are like pretty darn good, they can get... they can just get steamrolled like they did on the year. That's been the truth all year long. With on the court, Deni Avdija, a 118.8 offensive rating. When he's off the court, the Blazers have a 104.5 offensive rating. That's 14 points per 100 possessions better with Deni on the floor, or clean the glass, which that's from pbpstats.com. That's just your sort of your raw offensive rating, defensive rating in with and without Deni minutes. But clean the glass, which filters out some garbage time, has it at slightly lower, just plus 12.7. So it's somewhere between 12.7 and 14.3 points per 100 possessions better on offense. It is a massive, massive drop-off. To give you some context for those numbers, a 118.8 offensive rating would be the fourth best offense in the league. The best offense in the league, the Nuggets and Denver, score 120 points per 100 possessions, or 1.2 points per possession. With the Blazers, when Deni is on the court for the Blazers scored a 118.8 clip. Like, they're one of the best offenses in the league. And then when he's off at 104.5, that would be the worst offense in the league by 4 points per 100 possessions, significantly worse than the Pacers, Wizards, Kings, and Mavericks. Yeah, like they go from being one of the best offenses in the league to by far the worst offense in the league when he sits, and that is just kind of how it looks. So congrats to Deni. They need him back. He joins the West, and I'll just do this quickly. In the Western Conference, Anthony Edwards, Jamal Murray, and first-time All-Star, Devin Booker, Chet Holmgren, first-time All-Star, Kevin Durant, Deni Avdija, first-time All-Star, and LeBron James. In the East, Donovan Mitchell, Norman Powell, first-time All-Star, Jalen Johnson, first-timer, Karl Anthony Towns, Pascal Siakam, Scotty Barnes, and Jalen Duren, also a first-timer. I wouldn't have had Norman Powell or Karl Anthony Towns on my All-Star ballot in the East and in the West. I certainly wouldn't have had LeBron James. A deserving player, wonderful career, the best basketball player of my adult life, the best basketball player of the 21st century, blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah, he's an all-timer. I think he's something like at worst the second best player of all time. I wouldn't have had LeBron, though. He hasn't earned it. He has not been that good this year, and I wouldn't have had Devin Booker. I understand the Suns, like, quote unquote, need an all-star because they're pretty good, but the fact, like, I think Kawhi Leonard is straight up having a better season than Deni Avdija, and I think Deni Avdija was a no-brainer stone cold lock. And I don't get it. Maybe Kawhi will make the team. I'm sure he doesn't care about it. He just wants to plant trees and have fun. So it's all good. That's your Deni update. They need him back. It's unclear whether he'll play Tuesday when the Blazers play the Suns. If you ask the coach thought Deni was going to play Sunday. If you ask Deni, very, very cautious about sharing his public information about his public sort of health status. And he said that, he didn't want to put a date on it because that's for the medical staff to do. You can say whatever you want. It was for the medical staff to do. He didn't know if he was going to be, back the next game or need a week. It's like, dog, what? What? But in any case, we just don't know. He was listed as questionable and didn't play. And the last time he played, he looked really not physically there. Like, he didn't look fit enough to play against the Knicks. Like, he just did not look even close to ready. And then he's listed as questionable, and the coach thinks he'll probably give it a go on Sunday night. It's like, it just seems like they just need to commit to a plan, and maybe Deni doesn't want to sit, but I think like if it's just time, and I don't know what it is. Again, I'm not a doctor. The only thing I know about backs is that the doctor told me I need a backiotomy, but like if it's just time, take it. Take the time, get right, because if you just are only going to be 80% of yourself at the very best, the Blazers probably aren't good enough anyways. So I don't know what the solution is, but if leaving the Blazers in limbo is somewhat challenging. Okay, the Blazers play the Cavs. They played the Knicks. They lost to the Knicks. They played the Cavs. They lost to the Cavs. That's your weekend of Blazers hoops. It didn't go great, but if there was a silver lining, it was that Blake Wesley back out on the court. Let's talk a little bit about Blake, and then we'll finally talk begrudgingly about these games, plus some updates on Jrue Holiday and Scoot Henderson. Join me in the second segment, won't ya? First, though, let me tell you that today's program is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, the Seahawks from the beautiful Northwest, or riding with the underdogs, the Patriots, quarterbacked by Tar Heel great Drake May, or building one last same-game parlay with, I don't know, whoever you want. This is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. If you're a new customer, get on over to FanDuel, bet just $5, and you get $200 in bonus bets. If you win, make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today's program is also brought to you by Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move, because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, like skills, certifications, and location. So, if you're hiring, you're not just going to go with someone who can help. You want someone with real experience who can jump right in and be an asset. And so that's why Indeed can be helpful for you, because you can get specific in what you need and target exactly what you want. It saves you time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches. And with sponsored jobs, your post gets seen by candidates who are actually a fit. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours, made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get $75. Will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. All right. Blazers lost to the Knicks 127-97. We're going to get to that in our fastest recap in the West. Then they lost to the Cavs 130-111. It was a tough weekend for the old Pinwheels, but it was a good day to be Blake Wesley because he got to play basketball again on Sunday evening. Blake Wesley broke his foot on Halloween against the Denver Nuggets. Went up for a jump shot, knew that it was hurt before he hit the ground, ended up having surgery, the first surgery of his career, and he missed a stretch of time, over 12 weeks prior to returning to action. But he finally returned against the Cleveland Cavaliers on Sunday evening. Welcome back. Blake played 19 minutes, scored 5 points, had 4 assists, 3 boards, had a steal, did turn the ball over 3 times. He had a little stretch in the third quarter where he hit a 3-pointer, and then he had a dish inside to help the Blazers cut into a lead that was slipping away. He played with speed. He said the first time that he felt, really like himself is Rob Williams got a rebound and he sped the other way and pushed it to the top of the key and sprayed a pass out to Tumani. Tumani ended up missing the shot, but it was like he said there was that moment where it's like, that felt like playing back and playing basketball and being himself again. It's just like, is you get a board and he just turbos the other way, draws some attention, makes the right read. I thought Blake was pretty good in this game for like kind of what you want him to be. He's going to push the pace. Every time he gets the ball, he's going to fly down the lane. Sometimes he can drive into nowhere a little bit with those speed bursts, but the speed helps. It sets, it keeps defenses honest, and it can just get mismatches just simply by pushing. His defense wasn't maybe like a standout performance in this game, but I think he'll get there as he sort of gets his rhythm a little bit. He was a really good defensive playmaker when healthy in the first 4 games of the season or 6 games of the season. It was a long time coming. It was 3 months, more than 3 months without getting back out on the court. He said that it took him 9 weeks to even be running again. Like he was cleared to sort of like kind of run at 8 weeks and really started running right about the 9-week mark. And then over the last 3 weeks, he's slowly progressed and ramped up and out on the practice court, playing 3-on-3, a little bit of 4-on-4. And then the last few days, knowing that he's getting really close and about to play, he's been running wind sprints, just like trying to run sprints as often as possible to try to get his wind, because it's really hard to simulate NBA basketball, and this 3-week ramp up is all he had. And because the Blazers don't really practice, and because they're shorthanded, they're not going to have like a true 5-on-5 practice with like the starters of the second unit. So Blake's playing in what they call the stay ready game. So that's about 3 hours before tip off. These sort of end of the bench guys who are not going to play, the Javonte Cook, Young Hansen, they get out there and like play a little bit of 3-on-3 with the Blazers, some of their assistant coaches and player development staff. Like that's who's able to get out on the practice court. Just sort of the reality of the modern NBA and the reality of a Blazers roster that's beat up. And so like, that's been the space where he can actually sort of play, but he hasn't been able to play like true 5-on-5, certainly not NBA basketball. And he finally got a chance to do that. Good to have him back. Like in the sort of the Blazers are kind of in a tough place, right? Losers of 5 in a row. Their best player is dealing with this nagging back injury. They felt like they were, there was this moment where we really felt like they were climbing, or at least maybe if not climbing, like, and as much as I said on the show, like had put themselves in a position to look up in the standings to say, who can we catch if we continue to play well? And now it's just like, can they stick around in 10th and have an opportunity to play some postseason basketball when it comes down to it? That's your Blake Wesley update. There's also an update on Scoot Henderson, and he sounds like he's right behind the Blake Wesley timeline. Scoot has been cleared for contact. He's playing 3-on-3. He's playing 4-on-4. And reportedly, according to Tiago Splitter, this morning at the practice facility, when the Blazers went in there for their little early shoot around, game day shoot around at the facility, guys get breakfast, get some shots up, and then go, take a nap and get back to the building. Is that Scoot Henderson sprinting all over the court. Sounds like he's getting close. Tiago didn't put a date on it, but he said he's getting very, very close. And very close that's money. That's because you just want to see what you got with Scoot. Like that, the question, whether you're a doubter, whether you're a believer, the way that you learn what camp is correct, and I bet it's always in the middle. Scoot's got to play hoops. We got to play hoops to find out what he is. So we're getting close. Drew Holiday missed the Cavs game for personal reasons. And Splitter said before the game that he believes that it's just a one-game thing and he'll be back. The other thing that happened in this game was just beforehand, the Blazers made a trade and announced it. It's official that Vit Krejci is about to join the team. Splitter said that he didn't know when exactly he would join, but he's hopeful it'll be soon. I assume Krejci will be available Tuesday against the Hawks. I'd be pretty surprised if he's not. That would be a very surprising if he's not at least with the team on Tuesday. I assume he'll arrive on Monday sometime and do all the things he needs to do, and then get after it and play some basketball Tuesday night when the Blazers play the Phoenix Suns. But when first asked about, what do you know about Krejci? Are you excited? And Splitter stopped and said, the thing that I want to say first, we should talk about WAP, because everybody in the building loves WAP. There's no one in the organization that doesn't love WAP. He's one of the best people. That's Duop Reef. They call him WAP. But it's like, he's one of the best, just the best people in the organization. As a person, there is nobody better. And when asked about the trade, after the game, Deni Avdija echoed the same thing. Everybody loves WAP. He said, I love and admire and appreciate Duop Reith, and I hope that our paths can cross again. And not just, he's not going to be okay. He's going to be better than okay. He's going to be great. Really, just like I mentioned this on the show, that I've always enjoyed Duop Reith as a person. And I'll say, like, the people who know him much, 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 much better than me, I'm just like some guy who he's talked to a couple times, holding his phone and a notebook. But yeah, he just is a great soul. He's a great guy. And the hard part about trades and sort of the cold world of trades is like humans are moved around the country because of the money they make and how their bodies hold up and contracts and all that. So that is, I just thought that was a notable reaction from a couple Blazers about trade season is just like missing someone who really was beloved within the organization. Okay, I got another Vit Krejci anecdote, and then we're gonna finally talk about these basketball games. It's the fastest recap of the West, buried at the end of the show, but we got to talk a little basketball because the Blazers have played some basketball games. Join me there, won't ya? First, though, I want to tell you that today's program is brought to you by the good folks over there at TurboTax. It is indeed tax season, but that doesn't mean it has to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress of the guesswork. So instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert, either in person or you can just connect quickly with them online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms, and they work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents and just go about your day, and you can get updates in the progress of your taxes right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives you real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert did not file your taxes last year, that is, you just got to file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond, still listening to Locked On Blazers. And if you are a listener to this program all the time, if you live that lifestyle, particularly for my audio listeners, I'm talking to you. Sign up for the Locked On Everydayer Club. You get an ad-free version of the audio feed as Locked On Blazers without any interruptions, plus access to the members-only Discord where you can chop it up with me and your fellow Blazers fan. We're talking all things trade this week because it is indeed trade week. The trade deadline is February 5th. And normally the Locked On Everydayers Club costs you $5 a month or $50 a year. It's a pretty good deal. But right now, you can get first month free if you use the promo code DEADLINE and you sign up by February 5th. Let's talk this basketball game. Blazers lose to the Knicks 127-97 on Friday night. It's your fastest recap in the West. Blazers get their opening night starters on the court. Jrue Holiday, he struggled. Shaedon Sharpe, the only good Blazer who played in the game. Tumani Kamara, he struggled. Deni Avdija, he struggled, did not look like himself. Donovan Clingan, kind of just normal bad. He wasn't as bad as the other guys. But it was ugly right away. The Blazers started ice cold, down 15 after 1. They hung around and kind of made it fake competitive at the end of the second quarter because the Knicks blew the game open in the first half, led by as many as 24 in the second quarter. It's like, oh, they're going to get smacked. But Shaedon Sharpe had 12 of his 17 first half points in the second quarter and led a late charge to close the quarter. They cut it to 8 in the final minutes on the back of a Shaedon Sharpe 3 and then a pass inside, free throws and a pass inside to Jeremy Grant. And it's Knicks scored, late. It's 10-point game, 49-59. The Blazers are getting kind of punked, but they're only down 10. They're in an okay place. And then they just can't score in the third quarter. They score 20 points. They shoot under 40% from the floor, including 2 of 11 from 3. They commit 6 turnovers in the quarter. They went into the quarter down 10. They never got closer than 10, never got a bucket to cut it to single digits, despite it being a 10-point game at halftime. And they're down 87-69 after 3. It's not very nice, and they're down 18. And then the Blazers never get closer than 18 in the fourth quarter, trail by as many as 33, just getting absolutely rolled. Blazers kind of pulled the plug with 7 minutes left, down 26. The Knicks hung around for a little bit longer, pulled the plug up 29 with 4 minutes left. Blazers in the second half, basketball game, 127-97. That's your fast recap in the West. Blazers in the second half, 4 of 21 from 3 with 10 turnovers and 2 offensive rebounds. They didn't make threes. They turned the ball over a lot, and then they didn't give themselves second chances. I mean, you're not going to have a chance because that's the Blazers are not a good shooting team, but they're a good offensive rebounding team. If they shoot, sort of around league average from 3 and mash the glass, they're going to have a really good chance to win. But if you cannot make a 3 to save your life, you turn the ball over a lot, so you limit your chances, and then you only grab 2 offensive rebounds total in the second half. It's just not a formula for this team. It's just not a formula for them. They shot fine in the first half, 40% from 3 on 22 attempts, 9 of 22. It was fine. The offense disappeared in the second half. Deni Avdija he didn't look right. He just did not look right. Shaedon Sharpe led the way for the Blazers with 26, but nobody else really had a meaningfully big game. And importantly, Deni Avdija, who played in this game, just like he described himself as half Deni after the Cavs game on Sunday. I was not in New York and didn't get to do those interviews because I don't travel. But when you have Deni out there just not looking like himself, it's almost more detrimental than just putting someone else out there and knowing what you don't have. He's just moving slow. He's grimacing. He just does not look like himself. Add to that Tumani Kamara struggled. Add to that Jrue Holiday really struggled, and you get it's the makings of a 30-point blowout. The Blazers fly back late night from beautiful New York City, and they land in Portland, Oregon. You made it. Finally, home for a little homestand, right? The five games in the friendly confines, and it's going to start with a game against the Cavs. Except you're not going to have Jrue Holiday out for personal reasons. Again, Tiago Splitter said he expects it just to be one game. Deni Avdija listed as questionable, and he is eventually ruled out just before tip-off. The Blazers on Sunday had their morning shoot-around at the practice facility, and they kind of honored Deni at that. And then prior to the game, because they're watching. It's a 6:00 start, so they're a little bit earlier, and they're watching a little bit of film. It's in the locker room. They're watching some film on the Cavs and having a little team meeting. And Deni said he could hear his phone just buzzing, and he didn't know whether that meant he had made the team or he hadn't made the team. If people were saying congrats, or if people were saying hey, you'll get him next year, man. Don't worry, so deserving. But it's just whatever. But he ends up making the team, and then right before the game started, Splitter came and told Deni, hey, you made it. Congrats. Nets, and then they kind of honored Deni right before the game. But they honored him right before the game, and he's not going to play, which is just, again, like just a bittersweet moment. And then because he didn't play, the Blazers didn't really honor him in the game very much. They did like a very quick, that the first time out of the first quarter, they said like, and you're All-Star, like Deni Avdija, and they went to him, but it was like right before the game was about to start. It was a very brief moment on the big screen in the arena. I understand not maybe doing it at starting lineups because like the other guys are playing, but there just wasn't much pomp and circumstance for it for the first non-Dame Blazer in 10 years to be, in a decade to be an All-Star. The first, I mean, even just including Damian Lillard, who was an All-Star from 2014 to 2023, even including Dame, it's been several seasons, a couple years since the 2023 All-Star game when Dame made it. So like, come on now. I thought there was going to be more pomp and circumstance, but instead it's just Deni on the bench with a big old back brace on. And then after the game, he's still holding that big old back brace, chatting with us about how his back doesn't feel good, but how he did make the All-Star team. It's tough. And the Blazers, hey, they're in the game against the Cavs early, down 5 after 1. I thought Donovan Clingan had about as challenging a first quarter shift as you could have. 0 for 5 from the court. And it's the beginning of this just wild Jarrett Allen barbecue night. And he is just barbecuing Clingan. The Cavs, not only is Jarrett Allen just working Clingan inside and just like giving him trouble, the Cavs also, got him in some switches and hit 2 threes on him. It is going poorly for your boy DC. And then Blake Wesley makes his debut, checks in at 3:46 mark of the first quarter, gets to play a little bit of basketball. There was a brief little beef, and I don't know what they showed on the broadcast, the Blazers broadcast. I was in the building, so and I haven't gone back and watched. I'm not going to. This you can email me about. You can tell me what happened. 2:46 left in the first quarter. Naquan Tomlin and Jeremy Grant got in a little bit of beef. Naquan Tomlin was talking spicy from what I could tell from my seat. But what happened at the beginning of that play was Jeremy Grant was trying to get space, like trying to just like he's supposed to flash up and get like a down screen and go get the ball like above the 3-point line. And he's trying to like get himself free. And as he does, he kind of throws a stiff arm into Tomlin's chest, neck area, and it slips up and just like basically just punches him in the mouth. He just punched him right in the nose. And Tomlin took exception to that. And so when Jeremy Grant caught it, he ran him down and threw a forearm right into his back. Not that like, it wasn't like in context, it was an aggressive foul. I thought like on the replay, I didn't think it was, I thought he was going to get called for a flagrant, but he didn't. But like they had a little bit of beef. They got offsetting texts. They got in each other's faces. Tomlin was talking crazy. They got in each other's faces, and that was the end of that. Blazers felt like they were getting blown out, but they're only down 5 after 1. Hey, not so bad. They're down 9 at halftime, and freaking Jarrett Allen has good gravy, 25 points and 10 boards with 2 blocks. The Blazers took Donovan Mitchell out of the game. He'd had 5, an All-Star, one of the top scorers in the league. He had 5 points on 2 of 6 shooting, but they just sent 2 to the ball, and they just found Jarrett Allen, in the pocket on those pick and rolls with 2 to the ball, and he just ate them alive on little short rolls and pump fake, pivot. He beat the Blazers down the floor for 6 easy points, just like sprinting, and just like beating Donovan Clingan back down the floor for easy buckets. Like Jarrett Allen was a freaking monster. And then, third quarter comes around. The Blazers are only down 9 heading into the halftime. Like the Cavs' biggest lead was 11. It felt like the Blazers were down by a bunch more, but they're within striking distance with the shorthanded team. And then the Cavs start making shots. They hit 6 threes in the first half. They hit 6 more threes in the third quarter. Blazers' offense was fine. They scored 30 points. It's just Cleveland scored 41. There was a brief moment when they cut the lead from 22 to 13. Blake Wesley was doing some stuff, but then to close the quarter, the Cavs went on a 7-0 run and pushed it back to 20. And in the fourth quarter, rinse and repeat, baby. 18-4 spurt by the Blazers, capped by a Toumani Camara 3. Donovan Clingan gets a block. Toumani Camara gets a 3. All of a sudden, it's 106-96 with 7.5 minutes left. This feels like a ball game. Cavs take a timeout. They come out of the timeout and get a 7-0 run to push it back to 17. Jared Allen gets fouled inside, getting a hook shot over Donovan Clingan. Donovan Clingan hated the foul call. He slapped him on the arm. It's a very obvious foul. Then Jalen Tyson hits a three. Then Jared Allen gets a putback bucket, and all of a sudden it's 113-96, seven zip spurt right out of that timeout. Ball game. Donovan Clingan hasn't even checked back in. We haven't hit the 6-minute mark, and it's the Cavs cruise 131-11. That's your fastest recap in the West. Jared Allen finished with 40 points, 17 boards, and 5 assists. A bonkers game. The official box score has him at 4 blocks. I saw he had 5 earlier, but they must have changed one of those. 40 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks, 16 of 23 from the floor. Missed some free throws, 8 of 12, but otherwise really was doing work. Caleb Love had 21 off the bench for the Blazers. Shane Sharp had 20, but after a better start, kind of struggled to finish. And there's the Blazers scored 63 points in the second half. That wasn't the problem. They just could not stop the Cavs when it mattered. They could not stop Jared Allen, and this is where they find themselves as I run a little long in this episode because there's a lot to talk about. When they do not have Deni Avdija, and offense wasn't the problem tonight, to be clear, against the Cavs this evening, on Sunday evening against the Cavs. But when they don't have Deni Avdija, they're a bad basketball team. But also, if they rush Deni Avdija back, if they try to let him play at not 100%, you saw what happened in the Knicks game. It's no good anyways. This is a tough space for them to be. They have to figure out how they can survive and pull off some wins, and they're playing Phoenix and Memphis coming up. Pull off some wins against some teams that are kind of, Suns have been better than them, but they're a little bit hurt. Memphis is not very good, but has given the Blazers the business at least once this year. To pull, if they either have Deni and they can just get him healthy and let him play some minutes, or if he just can't go, how long do they need to get him back to 100%? And can they just tread a little bit of water and stay kind of in the zone so they can potentially climb out of 10th? They're just on the cusp of having this season being hey, they didn't get as healthy as they wanted to be, or they just it never aligned. They'd had some decent health to their core four. This is the Deni injury is just much more impactful than the other injuries because he's just so much better. He's the all-star, he stirs the drink, and they miss him, right? I don't exactly have a solution here because I just don't know enough about sports science, but if it's time Deni needs, or if it's just figuring out how to manage the pain and play through it, they need him, or they need to really understand that he's going to be gone for a while and figure out some other ways to sort of get by. And that falls on players and coaching staff just to say, hey, what is our formula to be competitive without Deni? Because right now they do not have that, and quite frankly, all year they haven't really had that. They just haven't had to face it as much. That's going to do it for today's show. You will notice in this show I did not talk about the Blazers making a trade for landing Vit Krejci. That's in your feed. I recorded it on Sunday afternoon. In your feed right before this one. Go check that out. And I also did not talk about the Giannis Antetokounmpo watch. Also in your feed. With that one. The Krejci episode is really good. The Vit episode is really good because Brad Rowland joined me from Locked on Hawks. He gave a great scouting report on Vit. So if you want to know more, go look for that one in your feed. Wherever you listen to this, is right before this one. And then come back for more shows. That's what we do 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. Tell your friends about the program. Go join the Everydayer Club. I appreciate you listening. I will talk to you soon.